Welcome to Network TV, episode 6 of our 11th season. I'm David Mabee, your host and the marketing director at the NCW Tech Alliance. Today's episode is a special one as we are joined by 3 influential women from CAFÉ, an organization dedicated to advancing family and community growth through education in our culturally diverse community. First, we have Tona Chacon, the newly appointed executive director at CAFÉ. Tona's journey with CAFÉ began in 2015, initially serving as a coordinator and office administrator, and her dedication has been instrumental in the organization's growth. Under the mentorship of the now executive advisor, Alma Chacon, CAFÉ has expanded and offered 5 dynamic programs. Tona is excited to embark on a new journey in this chapter and continue the impactful work CAFÉ is known for. Next, we're honored to have Dr. Maria Morales-Sanchez, Programs Manager at CAFÉ, a seasoned educator, published scholar, and a beacon of dedication with exceptional cross-communication skills. Dr. Sanchez's experience spans directing the TRIO Educational Opportunity Center at Central Washington University, serving as an associate professor at the Evergreen State College, and teaching roles at Eastern Washington University, Gonzaga, and WSU. Her expertise in leading complex projects and facilitating dialogue in diverse groups is truly inspiring. Last but certainly not least is Daisy Lucerio, the Education Program Coordinator at CAFÉ, joining us. Daisy has been at the forefront of CAFÉ's educational initiatives, including the Technology Basics training classes, a collaborative effort with NCW Tech Alliance. Her commitment to educating the community and empowering individuals through technology is making a significant difference. Today we'll dive into the transformative world these remarkable women are doing at CAFÉ, their visions for the future, and how their programs are making a tangible impact in our community. So stay tuned as we explore the power of education, leadership, and community engagement with our esteemed guest right here on Network TV. Welcome back to Network TV. I'm David Mabee, your host, and today we're joined by Tona Chacon.
Chacon, yes.
And Dr. Maria Morales-Sanchez. You're the programs director, and you are the executive director of CAFÉ. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about, Tona, first a little bit about your background and how you got involved with CAFÉ.
So, first of all, both of my parents are actually the co-founders of CAFÉ, and so they started it back in 2005. And so it's always been a passion of theirs. So in 2015, when I moved back into Wenatchee, is when I actually started to do more work for them on the administrative side, but also becoming the SES tutoring coordinator. And so from there on out, I just kind of got all of my experience from there. Very quick learning opportunities for me.
Yeah.
But it's just been a fun ride to where I'm at today.
It's got to be pretty rewarding, and being that your parents started and now you got to kind of take over the reins of that operation.
Definitely. I feel really lucky. I have great mentors to this day, and they're still here to help me out. Actually, Mrs. Alma Chacon, the previous executive director, is now the executive advisor. So she's still there right at the helm with me.
Nice. And Maria, how did you get involved with CAFÉ? And you were previously just at Central Washington University, so how did that all kind of transform?
But I was living in Wenatchee.
Oh, okay.
I moved back to town, now going to be 2 years, for this shift to this new position, my previous position. And so I was doing that, but that's when I started my involvement with CAFÉ. In my previous role, we were doing some collaborations just around just education, resources, and support. So that's how I started kind of working with. But I actually knew of CAFÉ for a while because I'm from this area, and I had heard about the Dr. Chacon and Mrs. Alma Chacon, and in fact, I knew Dr. Chacon from when I was in college. I was a college first-gen student, and Dr. Chacon came to be a speaker in our college assistance migrant program class. Yeah. And I remember being really moved by him, and he was just really cool, and had said a lot to him. And so I knew of him, and then I knew that he was here. And so when I went to knock on the doors of CAFÉ when I moved back, as in I want to know who you are and I want to get involved, it was also because I knew of, as Tona said, the founders of CAFÉ, and I knew just they've been doing a lot of really good work, and so
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So can you guys, now as we're getting into CAFÉ, can you guys provide kind of an overview of CAFÉ and what it stands for and kind of what people can expect from what you guys are doing as an organization?
Definitely. So CAFÉ is short for the Community for the Advancement of Family Education. And so we are an education-based organization. So everything that we do is more so to provide education to our community members who are more vulnerable, the Spanish-speaking community, but we never turn anybody away.
Right.
That's always really important to us because we know all of our community is so important, especially as we thrive to get to the next stage in, you know, where we are as people and as a human kind. So we definitely have all these different programs that we really focus on to make sure that we're able to bridge gaps. And so a lot of it has to do with outreach, the different programs that we have.
Yeah. And anything to add to that as kind of what your job involves with CAFÉ?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, I get to do the working on the ground with all the coordinators of Tona, saying CAFÉ is a larger organization that has many programs, and so I get to work with the coordinators of all the programs and the support staff and support Tona and sort of moving forward with our vision and our mission as an organization that is about education, is about access to resources, right? Empowering our communities to use their voice from the oldest generation to the youngest.
Right.
You know, we recognize that in this community we're growing, and we're growing in resources, but there's also a lot of needs that are still, you know, so working to meet those needs. And so as CAFÉ, we want to be able to provide that equitable access to information and resources to our community.
You mentioned something there, so like with the leadership, but how does that leadership and development one of CAFÉ's priorities? Because I know you guys were talking about cultivating leadership skills among its participants. So kind of what's that look like, and how do you drive that with the community you serve?
So I guess just to start with that, we always know that it's important to really provide not just our community but also our staff the opportunities to become more of a leadership role within their own community, so they can be those trusted people that they can go to. But then also when it comes to the people that we are working with within our leadership academy, which Maria will be, or Dr. Morales will be able to tell you more about, it's just providing these opportunities so that they can really thrive and to really become more involved when it comes to like the city council, school board, so that they're able to really learn about what that means and how they can then become a part of that.
Well, and I think it's important to see people, one, that look like you doing things that maybe you would never thought you could have done.
Absolutely.
Or just that experience, like talking to a lot of women around, it's like seeing women do, being an executive director or in powers of positions, getting your doctorate and all that. That's inspiring to the next generation, especially when they hear your stories. So how do you transfer that into what you're going to work on there with
well,
that leadership?
representation is really, really important, and we know that. And in our community, our small community, and not just Wenatchee, but this region, right? I think that it's important all around, right, to have representation of like leadership roles or leadership positions. And so, I mean, we definitely want to instill this for all those programs that we serve, but the one particular program that we have at CAFÉ, Leadership Academy. So the main mission of this is to identify individuals who are either already involved or already have this curiosity to learn how to become civically engaged or how to become involved in places like city council or school boards, right? And so we've identified those individuals, and so it's a development program, right? That we have speakers that come and share information with those folks so that they learn how the decision-making processes work in these different places, and to encourage and inspire them and empower them so they can get involved, and then they can bring more people, right? We recognize it. It's important to be represented, but also that they have tools so that they can do work in their own, communities.
Right, and I feel like that's culturally everybody has different things they're taught and they've seen. So I think it's important that people see that it's okay to do these things and not feel like you're dumb if you need to ask questions. Or like, I hate when people say I'm dumb. Like, you just haven't been explained how to do it yet, or things like that.
Especially the Spanish-speaking community. Right? I mean, you don't know, right? And so a lot of people we're working with already have a lot of knowledge, right? And already have a lot of skills. It just needed some sort of guidance on like, well, how do you put those here, right? And how do you can get involved. This is just how you can do it.
And it's probably important to hear from somebody that, hey, you can get involved. So is all this offered for free to the public and the communities you serve? Like, you can just come in, or is this you have to pay for these classes or anything like that?
No, everything is absolutely free at CAFÉ. We work with a lot of community partners to be able to provide these services.
Right.
So I know that's something that we really pride ourselves in, because there's so many services out there that, you know, they just don't really know are available. But when they come to CAFÉ, they can talk to us about something that they're going through personally, with their family, in the community, and then we can help either refer them out to the partners that we're working with, or we have something in-house so that they can be able to join and be a part of.
That's awesome. So just kind of as we're wrapping up here, what kind of new programs do you have coming on the horizon, or is there one particular program that you guys are really excited about at the moment?
Oh man, we do have a lot of different programs currently, and what I'm really excited about is being able to continue those programs. Our plan is to just fortify what we have right now, so that in at least 2024 moving on, we can have a more robust program, and especially as we continue to grow as an organization, be able to provide more services to more of our community and not have size kind of hold us back. So yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that as before we wrap up?
No,
here?
I mean that's great. I mean we're going through a place of change, like, you know, all around, right? But it's because we are looking at how do we move to that forward in a strong way, and the programs around education and tutoring and, you know, leadership development, civic engagement. It's all super important, and there's always room to grow those programs, right?
Yeah.
Certainly creating new projects because needs emerge on the daily, right? But
I think that's important. Like, working at a nonprofit now, it's like you don't really know how a program's going to impact something or what's going to evolve from that. So being open to shifting or focusing to that. So it's really great stuff. And we're going to dive more into the programs and everything CAFÉ has to offer. We'll come back here on Network TV. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back with more about CAFÉ here in a moment. Welcome back to Networked. We are joined here with Tona and Maria, Dr. Maria, from CAFÉ, and we're going to get back into it. We just talked about kind of what CAFÉ offers and some of the different programs, and now we're going to kind of get into the meat and potatoes of CAFÉ, if you will. So with the literacy development and academic advancement, they're crucial to CAFÉ's missions. What specific programs or initiatives do you guys have in place to support these educational goals? And kind of how do they cater to such a diverse community and what you're trying to do?
Yeah, so CAFÉ, one of the main things that we did start with was our scholarships. So we provided 7 scholarships of $500, and it has grown now. But from that, we have our CAFÉ University. And so CAFÉ University was a concept to help, you know, youth so young up until however old they want to be, because we're all lifelong learners. And so in CAFÉ University, we have tutoring for K through 12, we have ESL classes, and with the partnership from NCW Tech Alliance, we do have digital literacy classes as well. And we also have CAFÉ Academy, which is a relationship that we have with our sister organization, Northwest Family Services Institute, to provide behavioral health services in collaboration with tutoring, and to provide that whole holistic kind of feel to educational growth.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
And so, Maria, what's your role in making all of this happen? I know, Tona's like, you're the architect of everything. So how does your role now play into this as being a new?
Well, I mean, we have a program coordinator and we have support staff, so it's a community effort, right? It's a collective effort, but I would say that my role is to provide support to the coordinator and to the support staff, and guidance with, you know, bringing in my expertise. My background is in education, higher education, so I'm trying my best to bring in some of that, right, to help support the instructors, to help support the coordinator who's doing kind of all the facilitating and navigating, right, to ensure that, you know, we are meeting the needs of the youth who are getting tutored, but also the older adults, Spanish-speaking adults who, you know, didn't know anything about computers, and now they can open it, and now they don't have to rely on their children, right? So like, so my role is providing that support to all the staff to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our community, and that we are aligning with the mission of CAFÉ, and we're aligning with our objectives, right?
What are some of the, I guess, interesting things that you've learned from being there about what you thought the community might need and then kind of what the community is actually saying they need? Or is there any overlap there, or is everything kind of working the way you expected it to work?
Well, yes and no, right? I mean, I think that like, it is, the vision is to empower, right? The big vision is to empower, right? To give tools and access to information. It sounds very simple, but that's a big gap, and that's a big wall that prevents people to move forward and prevents people to, whether it's in their jobs or in just in their engagement, right? So I think we are seeing stories. I mean, if we're unsure if things are working, we can just go ask a student. I mean, the stories are themselves testimony of how powerful these classes, even if for some people are like, what, like that's so simple, but like some of us grew up in that, right? And others, like seeing a computer is like, what, right? And going from that to I can send an email is a major success. So that's a big hurdle. So that's a testimony that the need was provide access, provide information, right? And that's met. But then I think we've been surprised, is like, wow, how we didn't realize how important. And we knew it was important, but until we hear the testimonies of people, it's like, wow, this is really significant in their lives.
Yeah, I mean, we can jump into this a little bit, but when you're saying significant, one of the things we had the classes with CAFÉ and NCW Tech, I think we had a graduation a few weeks ago, and to see their faces and the I guess the pride and just everything that came with that. You guys were both there. What stood out to you in seeing that, and how does that impact your personal, I guess, feelings about the job? I don't know other way to explain it.
Well, I mean, it's very exciting for us. It's very emotional because you're able to really see how they're feeling on their faces. And for the first time, we know because a lot of our community members haven't gone to school or haven't finished school. So even receiving a certificate is so exciting for them, and they're just so proud of themselves. Their families are there to provide that support as well, so it's just a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah,
inspiring.
It's very inspiring. I remember just sitting and talking to one of the families, and I think the kids had pushed the mom and the dad to do it, and to see the kids there at the ceremony so proud of their parents.
It's great.
And then like that sense of accomplishment they all felt, I think, together was
it's
just...
also the generational support to see kids, like that's a good point, right? The children are there to show up for their parents, and most of the time, right, especially immigrant parents, we are led by this American dream of education, and we, parents go to their graduations, but to see that, it feels like it meets this really beautiful need, right? And I remember at one of the graduations, one of the a woman said, I've never received anything in my life like a certificate. And she's like, and I have a certificate now, and from the United States. Like as an immigrant myself, I know what that means, And it's like, she was just so incredibly proud, right, of that.
Yeah, and I think that question came up, like how many people have you not? Juan asked it at one of the classes, and half the class raised their hands. They'd never got any sort of certificates. And the certificate is one of those things where we're like, we weren't sure if it'd be important, and like, would somebody even really want this? And it really, I think it was kind of a home run for, not for us, but for them. So it's pretty awesome. So with these technology basic courses, what do these programs offer, and kind of how are you guys working with us to develop what your community needs with what we can provide?
Well, definitely when it comes to our partnership, I think it's, really just starting with the basics and then kind of moving further. We've had conversations about, what is the next step for us? It's kind of making those phone calls and making sure, like, hey, is everything working out for you? What do you want to see next? And even at the graduation that we were at, everybody wants to have another course come on, either the same course to just get a refresher, but then also go into the intermediate and advanced level. So there's that excitement in there that's also propelling CAFÉ to really want to continue to do this work, and it's just that satisfactory kind of feeling with our partnership that we're able to provide that to our community.
Yeah, and I think that's what's important is, I didn't realize how many nonprofits there were in Wenatchee until I started working for a nonprofit, but working with other nonprofits to use your strengths and maybe your weaknesses to help all of us out and come together for the greater good of the city. So that's been exciting to me. I know with these community classes, we're working with you guys. Microsoft Thriving Together, Community Health Network is also a big supporter there.
Yeah.
So these students not only got education, but they got a computer to take home after the fact. And did you get what did that mean? Or did you get a feeling for that? Like from students, did anybody say anything about the computers? And
I mean, when I remember with graduation last spring, when they received those first computers, like their faces said everything, right?
Yeah.
Like just to receive it. I mean, I know that it's not just that knowing how to use a computer, but having a computer in and of itself is, I mean, that is right there a definition of access, right? Because it's the technological gap, right, between communities, underserved communities, a lot of Spanish communities, American communities, right? It's really important. It's really significant. So I know one woman said, "Well, I don't have to rely on my children, and I could just do this on my own." That is pretty significant, right? To be able to have not just the information, because I can do an email, but I don't have a computer. What good is that, right? But having a computer is not just for the individuals to be able to kind of be on their own, do their work on their own without relying on others, but I think it's for the whole family, because some of these families, kids don't have computers, so it's a computer for the family. Right?
That's one thing I noticed at that one in particular was at the CAFÉ lot. A lot of them didn't even open up. We had ribbons around them, and we thought they'd want to open them up right away, and we were going to help them set them up. And they wanted to take them home and kind of open them up with the family so everybody could kind of get that experience of it, which was amazing. Thank you. So as we're wrapping up here, what are the goals for 2024 with not only technology classes, but kind of just CAFÉ as an organization? And then we'll get into how people can get involved with you guys.
Yeah, well, our plan is to continue to really fortify the partnerships that we have right now, and I mean, a big part of what you were just saying too is there's so many different organizations out there that have a lot of different resources and specialties. I mean, I can't tell you that I would know everything about a computer. I would have to go to you guys. So I think it's continuing to fortify those relationships so that we can continue to do this work that is really incredibly important for our community who don't have that access still. There's that language barrier, and how we can best help our partners as well so that they're able to then reach out to the communities that there is that that gap. So we want to bridge those barriers. And then we want to continue to just do the work that we're doing. And I know there's only upward momentum from here, so we're just going to keep chugging along.
And Maria, what are your closing thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's strengthening those relationships. You know, we have ESL classes, we have the digital leadership classes that we're talking about that we want to continue, but also think about what's the next level, right? So that it's the same project, but making sure that, again, we are also meeting the needs as they're growing for the. And
then how can people get involved? What's the website for CAFÉ, or what's the best way to reach out to you if somebody wants to get involved?
So you can go to wenatcheecafe.org, and you're able to contact us there, or you can give us a call at 509-415-8274.
All right.
Yes.
Well, you've heard it here. Get in contact if you want to help out with CAFÉ or get involved with that. That's going to do it for this episode of Network TV. Thank you to Tona and Maria for being on here, and to CAFÉ. And we will see you next time on Network TV here on the NCW Life Channel.